And welcome back. A man looking for love in Colorado is suing Denver dating company, claiming there was not as many single ladies as they had claimed. The 29-year-old paid more than $9,000, he said, for a membership to only discover just 5 women in his age range. 9 News legal analyst Whitney Traylor joins us now to talk about this case. This is an unusual one, Whitney.
It is an unusual one, but it has some legitimate legal principles, but I don't know if he was looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yeah, that might be. Who knows? Hey, so what claims does the plaintiff have, and how likely is he to prevail?
Right. It's a good question because it seems a little bit lighthearted, but as you mentioned, he paid almost $10,000 and, was legitimately looking for potential dates. And so he sued for a fraudulent inducement, breach of contract, and essentially deceptive trade practices. So really, this falls under like a consumer protection. And what he's saying is that, look, they said that there was going to be an influx of new members of that age. He selected 25 to 35 because of a wave of breakups from the pandemic. And they promised a, quote, huge database. And as you mentioned, Gary, he got on and found only 5 women in that age range, actually 5 women 18 to 35. So he's arguing these false deceptive trade practices. But interestingly, the defendant might argue something called puffery. And puffery is like a sales technique when you say, the greatest show on earth or the smoothest ride you'll ever have. So they may have a defense, but it will come down to what was actually produced.
Okay. Well, does this guy have a case? And what is he looking for? Does he just want his money back, or does he want damages, or what?
Right. No, it's a good question. I think he may have a case. I mean, this is going to boil down to a factual situation because these are just claims made in the complaint. The defense hasn't even responded yet. So he is suing on a breach of contract for his money back. Interestingly, he made a claim for punitive damages. That means damages that are designed to punish. I don't know that you get punitive damages on a breach of contract, but they'll work that out. So he's seeking his cost, fees, and his money back. And he didn't specify a number other than obviously what he paid. I think he may have a legitimate case. Now, what's interesting about this is, what did they promise? What, were there going to be a certain number of women in the inbox or a certain number of dates or whatever? Because I'm sure they can't, make certain promises, but that will, some of the facts will certainly dictate whether or not, how strong his case is.
Would he still have a case if for instance, there were more women, even a few more women in there, but he didn't really like them or he wasn't able to get a date? Would he have any sort of a case?
Right. That's a great question. I actually went online this morning to see how their website was advertised and things like that, and they didn't have the actual contract. So this is what I'm saying. It depends on what the extent of the agreement was. Now, if they said there's going to be a certain number of women that that will meet this profile, primarily the age requirement, then he may not have a strong claim, right? They can't guarantee that there's going to be a love connection or that these women are going to like him or anything else. But there is sort of a quantifiable factor in terms of how many women are actually there, right? And so if he goes on and they say there's, and that's a question, we said there'd be a huge number. And I think it's an easy argument to say 5 is not a huge number.
Yeah. So if people in general are scammed by a company or they feel scammed by a company, what recourse do they have? Do they always have to file suit?
Hopefully not. I mean, I'm a litigator or was a litigator, if you will. And I've had a lot of success in trial, and I've had a lot of clients who said after winning the trial, they said, if I knew it was this hard, I would not have done it. And so that's why I say litigation should be the last resort. So I would first always try and work it out with them, write a letter, escalate it through the company. But I do want to highlight to the viewers that the Colorado Attorney General does have a consumer protection division. So if you feel that you're not getting a response from a company, definitely try them. And they have a good investigation and attorneys there, so they can really help. And here, a lot of the reviews, when I went online and I looked at the reviews, folks said that they put the full court press on them to get the money when they were trying to sign folks up. But then when they weren't producing, matches or what have you, they couldn't get a response. Folks couldn't get a response from the company. And I saw many reviews saying that type of thing. So that, that happens obviously in business. So the Better Business Bureau is obviously a good place to go to, the Colorado Attorney General. And then, push comes to shove, litigation is the last resort, which we see here.
Buyer beware, I guess. All right, Whitney. See, there are advantages to doing what, my generation did. You look for women in bars,
Right. He said he tried that, and apparently that's, I don't know if that's still the dating scene anymore.
He could have avoided the lawsuit. All right. Whitney, always good to see you. Take care.
Good to see you. Thanks, Gary.